Hi guys. So in this video, I'm going to be giving you guys a lot of insight on what pretty privilege looks like in the lens of a transgender person. And a great way to start off is obviously with my surgeries. I've had a lot of cosmetic work done. I'm not going to deny that. I'm not going to hide me being transgender because, it is who I am. And for me, it's about living in my truth and being me because this is who I am. And the surgeries in itself has nothing to do with pretty privilege. The surgeries in itself has everything to do with trauma. I felt like I was gaslit into looking the way that I look. Growing up in a traditionally African American household, from a Black person's point of view, you can only be a Black woman if you look a certain type of way. If, those characteristics of a woman's body is like amplified, it's larger than life. And I've been in a lot of traumatic situations throughout my life where, is pretty much facing PTSD for not looking a certain type of way, for not having that woman's aesthetic. Women, they typically have big hips, big breasts, all of the above. And it's not to say that these things make a woman, but it does make a difference. So, for me, like I said, sorry, my cat. Like I was saying, for me, I feel like, and to look back on everything, I feel like, pretty privilege has become very difficult for me. I don't even think that I have pretty privilege when it comes to, the outside looking in. I just feel as though that over the years when I've made these modifications and I've done these enhancements, life has gotten way harder. And, I feel like I've become the spectacle. Like, anytime you see a pretty woman, it's like you're going to stop and do double, if not triple take to see who's that girl, like Eve. So, with that being said, it's created like a lot of traumatic moments and trial and tribulation and experiences in my life. Excuse me. And to be honest with you, I'm going to tell you I don't have pretty privilege because this is something that, it's created more problems for me than it has good because I feel like it's always someone else looking inward at me when all I'm just trying to do is drink water and breathe. That's all I'm trying to do here. I mind my business. I don't bother anyone. But when you see someone that looks pretty, I guess the trauma response for the other person is to, be jealous, I guess. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't get jealous. I do get jealous. I have some jealous tendencies. I'm only human. But what I don't do is allow my jealousy to be the demise of another person. I let them be and I acknowledge the feeling that I have within the moment that I have it, and then I let it go. And to me, that in itself is pretty privilege. I can never sit here and compare myself to the next person because I will be miserable. Comparison is the thief of joy, and I really strongly believe that I'm only in competition with the person who I was yesterday. And the person that I was yesterday does not compare to the person that I am today. So, oddly to say, I honestly do not experience much jealousy from women. I actually love women. I have great relations with women, and a lot of the jealousy that I do experience is from men, unfortunately. And it's men wanting to paint the picture with me as if they are seeking relationships with me when they're only looking to gain control over me. And this is very common for, women with pretty privilege. It's common with African American women as well, minority women, transgender women, I'm pretty sure every woman has had a particular relationship where, they have not been able to see eye to eye with their partner because, when a woman is embarking on their journey of manifesting pretty privilege. So for me, I just come to the realization that, for this whole pretty privilege notion not to sting as hard as it does or to deal with like the negative consequences of pretty privilege, that means like me being humbled by others when I'm already humbled, which really means humiliation. People get off on that. And I feel like what it means for me is to sacrifice the male gaze for me to decenter interaction and thoughts when it comes to men, and also, for the whole fake friends or like unsupportive family member type of vibe. It would also mean for me to detach from all these things and just be comfortable with myself and knowing that, it's not me who has a problem. It's everybody else that is unable to fathom the thought that I do have pretty privilege. It's something that I manifested because I don't have, they're not giving it to me. You're not giving it to me by being lustful, by being greedy, by being envious, by being jealous, by being hateful. All of these things are unconscious symptoms that people experience, especially within my community and demographic. Me being a minority that is a transgender woman and also being African American, these are all the things that come with that. So by me detaching from those relationships and like actively wanting to make a change in my life, it'll be a lot more fathomable pretty privilege. And I honestly believe that I have the right to say that I've manifested pretty privilege, to say that I have pretty privilege because I've done the work. I've went to therapy. I'm a heavy believer in therapy. There are so many character defects and shadow aspects and childhood traumas that go unresolved to where it creates this type of unhealthy connection with self-care and even being able to attain pretty privilege. So, if it means like cutting people off because therapy is not in their vocabulary or their vernacular and they want to try to make my life hard, then so be it. And, speaking of that symptom of hatred, when it comes to like racism and colorism regarding pretty privilege, to be honest with you, when it comes to me as a trans woman, I've only ever faced colorism more than I do racism. And, all of these things are awful, especially coming from a place where there's that commonality. But then, your skin color becomes a thing to where, they say you're unworthy. But how? Look at me, and the whole ageism notion that as a woman gets older, you know, she's less appealing and less attractive, which to me is BS because, you know, I feel like I said before, you know, it's not until that I feel like Benjamin Button, you know, I feel like I'm aging backwards as I get older. And I've become way more magnetic and unapologetic about being me. And, you know, I really believe that, like, I'm gonna still have it, you know, when I'm going through menopause and stuff. But, and, you know, like they say, good black don't crack. It just sucks because, you know, when you really think about it, pretty privilege is not, um, it's not a token of appreciation. It's not a badge of honor. You know, pretty privilege is dangerous because you can really have, you know, snakes in your grass and opportunists that will want to use your prettiness to advance in their lives and really not have your best interest at heart. Like in this today's society, it's like everybody wants to like social climb off of the next person. Everybody wants their emotional economy from the next person. They want to fill that void so that way they don't have to do the work for themselves. And, you know, it's draining. And what I do know is that it builds character and it builds pretty privilege. That's all I have to say on that.